Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Linus Kranot, a trainer with the GMAT program. In this video, we're going to tackle paragraph completion question types. This is a question type that appears in the critical reasoning section of the global exam. So let's begin. A paragraph completion question types require you to complete a given paragraph in a way that is coherent and complete. That is, you'll be given a paragraph with the last sentence in that paragraph visually missing. So it is up to you to sort of read through the passage, understand information in that passage, and apply that information or relate to that information to an answer choice that would probably be the last sentence of that paragraph. So we usually test your reading comprehension skills. So if you're really good in reading comprehension, that is being able to read through lines of text, understand that line of text and apply that information to the question you're asked, then you'll do well in this question type. So the task in paragraph completion question types is usually to complete a missing line from a paragraph. That is, the line that usually appears as the last line of that paragraph. You're more or less required to read through that paragraph and sort of understand or figure out which sentence would appear as the last section of that paragraph, right? So basically that is what paragraph completion question types require you to do. Secondly, the strategy that could help you sort of ace this question type is first of all to identify the main idea of a paragraph. Just like in reading comprehension, where you're able to read through paragraphs in that passage, you should also do the same thing for this question type. Make sure you understand the main idea that is being put forward by the author of that paragraph, and that will help you sort of get a picture or have an understanding of what lines of text should appear in the blank section of that paragraph. Then secondly, identify the continuing line of reasoning. That is, when you're reading through that paragraph, make sure you understand what the author of that passage is communicating. Make sure you understand the thread of thought, right? So if you're able to do that, then being able to choose or select an answer choice from the choices you're given will be quite easy, because you'll basically be required to look for an answer choice that more or less relates or sort of is in correlation to the continuing line of reasoning that the author of that paragraph is putting forward. Right, so then continue the line of reasoning and keep in mind the main idea. Of course, when you're reading through the paragraph, have an idea of what the main idea of the paragraph is. So the line or the choice you'll be going for should agree in totality with that main idea that is being put forward by the author of that passage. Then the correct answer to these answer choices would be basically be the conclusion of that paragraph, most of the time. So that choice you'll be going for will most likely be the last sentence of that paragraph, or be part of the last sentence of that paragraph. And out of your understanding of critical reasoning passages, the conclusion of the paragraph usually appears as the last line of text in a paragraph. This is usually the case, but not in all cases. Right? Then the correct answer will also be the logical extension, the last line before the blank space. So the choice you'll be going for should follow logic, should be directly correlated to the information that should be given in that paragraph. Hope that's clear till there. Then important tips for this question type is first of all, examine the tone of the passage. This usually applies to all your critical reasoning or even reading comprehension passages, right? When you're reading through a paragraph or a passage, you should be able to identify the tone of the author. This will help you understand the message that the author of that passage is driving at, and also be able to digest more or less be in their shoes, right? So take note of the choice of what the author of that passage is going for. That could help you understand his perspective, what he's leaning towards, or what he's trying to communicate, or what they are trying to communicate. So again, look out for the change in tone. If you take note or notice that the author is using contrast words like but, however, although, etc., just know probably they're trying to change the tone of that passage, right? Initially, they put forward an idea. They had put forward certain words that would more likely agree with a certain thread of thought. But later on, you can see a shift in tone to more or less try to get you to a different line of thought, to more or less trying to convince you about something, or more or less forward an argument, right? So again, another thing important tip is to look out for keywords. So in every paragraph, there will be certain words that can be easily identifiable. So these words will help you solve the question and reach the appropriate conclusion. So read the passage actively, and be on the lookout for words that will help you more or less arrive at an answer choice at the shortest amount of time period. So wrong answers to this question type, answers that use extreme language or extreme answer choices, this usually appear as answers that are strongly affirmative, that is, the yeses, anything that strongly agrees with a certain line of thought, the more or less is not really put forward by the author of the passage, or answers that are in the extreme negation. So any answer choice that falls in those two extreme, the extreme yes or the extreme no, that is a candidate for elimination. Then answer choices that basically are a restatement of any line in the passage is definitely wrong. What we're looking for is an answer choice that completes the passage of the paragraph that has been given to us, right? So any restatement of facts or ideas that are present in the passage would definitely be wrong, right? Then inference based on one of the lines from the passage. So again, we're not looking for an answer choice that infers information from the passage, but we're looking for an answer choice that more or less completes that paragraph, right? So that is it. These tips that could help you in the process of elimination. Again, using process of elimination, especially in verbal, more or less critical reasoning, would help you arrive at an answer choice at the shortest amount of time period, right? So you can pause the video and attempt this question, after which you can play back. Then we should continue with our discussion. So this is example one. Again, take note that paragraph completion question types usually come in the form of a single paragraph, right? So this example here, we have here, so it goes, many managers of mutual funds proclaim that they have been able to generate consistently higher rates of return on their investments in the general stock market by buying shares of undervalued companies. Classical economic theory, however, proposes the efficient capital markets hypothesis, which proposes that stock prices accurately reflect the value of the underlying investments, incorporating all information available to the public. If the efficient capital markets hypothesis is correct, then it should be expected that dash, right? So we're supposed to complete that paragraph. Answer choice A. Mutual fund managers, in order to compete with each other, will bid up the prices of certain stocks beyond their true values, right? So before we continue with the answer choices, first of all, we have to understand what the author of this paragraph is communicating to us, right? He's putting forward an idea. The idea is about managers of mutual funds and how they invest in the stock market, right? Then this is presented in the first sentence of this paragraph. The second sentence of this paragraph, we see that they're providing a contrasting idea, right? How are we able to know that it's a contrasting idea? Is a contrast word here, however, right? Classical economic theory, however, proposes the efficient capital markets hypothesis, which proposes that stock prices accurately reflect the value of the underlying investments, incorporating all information available to the public, right? This is in contrast to the first sentence that we have in this paragraph, because the idea being presented in the first paragraph is that mutual fund managers tend to invest based on the thinking that they think that the company they're investing in is an undervalued company, right? So how do you know that a company is undervalued? Probably they looking at the assets and the listing of the stock price in the stock market, you feel like that stock price does not reflect the value of the company, right? In contrast to the second sentence, which is telling us that that stock price actually reflects the assets of that company, right? So this is presented by the classical economic theory that we see here, right? So the last sentence, which is incomplete, which we are supposed to find an answer choice that more or less completes this goes ahead and says, if the efficient capital markets hypothesis is correct, then you should be expecting that, meaning given information in the second sentence, if this is true, if this is factual, then the first idea presented in the first sentence is probably wrong to some extent. So we're looking for an answer choice that agrees with the second sentence and more or less more or less disagrees with the facts presented in the first sentence. Okay. So A, mutual fund managers, in order to compete with each other, will bid up the prices of certain stocks beyond the true values, right? This is probably good information to know, but does that really complete the sentence presented in this paragraph? Not really. It more or less presents an alternative set of facts, which does not really agree with the information in the second sentence. So you can eliminate A. B, mutual fund managers use insider information and illegal practice to generate high rates of return on the general stock market. This is an example of an extreme answer. This answer choice B holds a strong opinion about mutual fund managers and presents a line of facts which might be true, but in this case, it's a strong opinion. We're not presented with information that relates to or agrees with this information in B. So eliminate B. C, stock price would rise over time. This is sort of vague, does not really relate to information in the second sentence, so eliminate C. D, given public information alone, companies cannot reliably be labeled undervalued or overvalued relative to the stock market, general stock market, right? So given public information alone, companies cannot reliably be labeled undervalued or overvalued relative to the general stock market. This, I believe, agrees with, first of all, given this first part of the sentence, given public information alone. So this agrees with the classical economic theory, which tells us that the value of that stock market will be reflected, or all information will be available to the public, right? So then companies cannot really be labeled undervalued or overvalued relative to the general stock market. The second part of this sentence tells us that information in A is not factual, right? Because for us to be able to tell that a company is overvalued or undervalued, there's a set of information that we must have for us to make that judgment call. And the second part of B is telling us that we cannot really make such educated guesses based on public information alone. So D is a strong answer because it relates the two parts of this paragraph and more or less concludes the entire paragraph, right? So E, some mutual fund managers are better than others at generating a high rate of return on investment. So this is generally out of scope. There's no comparison between a particular set of managers in this paragraph, so we don't have that information. So the E is definitely out. So D is a correct answer. Just completing that paragraph, we can say if the efficient capital market hypothesis is correct, then it should be expected that given public information alone, companies cannot reliably be labeled undervalued or overvalued relative to the stock market, general stock market, right? And D is the correct answer.
You're watching Success with Bob Mwiti Show, presented to you by Upstake America. Upstake America is a consulting company that helps immigrants find amazing higher education and job opportunities in the tech industry in the United States. You can find our programs by going to www.upstakeamerica.com. Upstake America, we wake you up to the unlimited potential.
Let's look at example 2. Again, you can pause the video, try it on your own, then play it once you're done. Example 2 says, the irradiation of food kills bacteria and thus retards spoilage. However, it also lowers the nutritional value of many foods. For example, radiation destroys a significant percentage of whatever vitamin B1 a food may contain. Proponents of irradiation point out that irradiation is no worse in this respect than cooking. However, this fact is either beside the point, since much irradiated food is eaten raw. or else misleading since dash, right? So this paragraph put forward is communicating to us the whole concept of irradiation and also cooking food and the effects they have to the food itself, right? We are told that irradiation, although it kills bacteria and retards spoilage, that is the first point presented in the first sentence. Despite the fact that it has benefits of killing bacteria and reducing spoilage, it also, we are told that it lowers the nutritional value of many foods, right? An example is given: irradiation destroys a significant percentage of whatever vitamin B1 food may contain, right? So this is perfect contrast in play, where a good idea is presented and drawbacks to that idea or the use of a paraphernatic technique are also given. Then proponents of irradiation point out that irradiation is no worse than in its respect than cooking, right? So we're being presented by an idea or school of thought presented by these proponents, individuals maybe, that it is irradiation, that method of irradiation is no worse than in this respect than cooking, meaning the effects that irradiation has is the same that is same as the effects that cooking has, right? So they're basically the same, they have the same impact on food. Then we see a contrast word here. However, this fact is either beside the point, meaning that the other is telling us that probably they don't agree with the line of thought that the proponents are putting forward, or the argument that the proponents are putting forward. However, this fact is either beside the point, since much irradiated food is eaten raw, or else misleading, right? So we're being told of two situations here. So we're being told of two situations here. First of all, we're being told that this fact is beside the point, the fact being presented by the proponents of the proponents' line of thought or argument that is being provided in the third sentence. Then the first argument or point against the proponent's argument is much irradiated food is eaten raw, right? Then, or else misleading, the second point, since we're being told there's a second point that is the author is putting forward, right? So it is up to us to sort of identify what the second point could be, right? So A, many of the proponents of irradiation are food distributors who gain from foods having a longer shelf life, right? So A, again, remember what we're looking for? We're looking for an answer choice that more or less disagrees with the argument that is being put forward by the proponents, right? Remember, the proponents of irradiation point out that irradiation is no worse than this respect than cooking, sorry. So meaning irradiation and cooking have a similar impact on food, right? So the first argument against that is that much of the food that is consumed is usually eaten raw, so we're looking for the second one. What A is telling us is that proponents of irradiation are food distributors who gain from foods having a longer shelf life. This probably undermines the proponent's arguments, but it doesn't, this attacks the character of the proponents, but not necessarily the argument that they're putting forward. So A is definitely out. B, it is clear that killing bacteria that may be present on food is not the only effect that irradiation has, right? So B doesn't really tell us the other side of, or does not really attack the argument that is being put forward by the proponents. So B is definitely out, right? So cooking is usually the final step in preparing food for consumption, whereas irradiation serves to ensure a longer shelf life for perishable foods. C is more or less a statement of fact, doesn't tell us or does not present a contrary opinion to what the argument the proponents of irradiation are saying, right? So C is just a statement of fact. It is probably good knowledge to know about the whole process of cooking and also irradiation, but does not answer or does not complete the paragraph that we have here. D, certain kinds of food certain kinds of cooking are, in fact, even more destructive of vitamin B1 than carefully controlled irradiation is. This weakens the argument that the proponents are putting forth, and it is directly in contrast to what we have here, right? We're being told that cooking and irradiation have similar impacts. So for D to suggest that probably cooking is more destructive than irradiation, then that is besides the point. It is autoscope and does not relate to what we have in the paragraph that is presented above. E, for food that is both irradiated and cooked, the reduction of vitamin B1 associated with either process individually is compounded. Right? This, I believe, is correct because I've been told that the effects of irradiation are no worse than with respect to that of cooking. So if we combine those two procedures together, then again, I think we will compound the effects of the effects that you would get if you would gone with one of the options provided or one of the methods provided. So the correct answer to this is E. So just to complete the passage, however, this fact is either beside the point, since much irradiated food is eaten raw, right? Or misleading, since for food that is both irradiated and cooked, the reduction of vitamin B1 associated with either process individually is compounded, right? So this is misleading because it more or less tells us that if you go with natural order of flow, meaning you irradiate food, then end up cooking it again, you'd end up even compounding the effects that would have the effects of the reduction of the nutrient qualities or the vitamins in the food that we have, right? So I think E is a strong choice for this, and E will be the correct answer to this. So kindly join us in our GMAT training sessions. We elaborate more on these concepts and others that relate to verbal and other topics that are tested in the GMAT exam. Thank you.